In today's video, I'm going to go over red yeast rice and its effects on cholesterol. Now, red yeast rice is a natural form of lovastatin, which is an FDA-approved medication in its use for lowering cholesterol and decreasing cardiovascular events, such as a heart attack or a stroke. So red yeast rice is a herb which contains the natural form of lovastatin, which is called monocolin K. Now, since lovastatin is a FDA-approved drug, red yeast rice cannot contain more than trace amounts of monocolin K, which is basically lovastatin, because then that would be considered under the FDA's jurisdiction as a pharmaceutically FDA-approved medication for reducing cholesterol. Now, as we all know, high cholesterol can be extremely dangerous and cause a lot of problems such as, heart attack, stroke, inflammation. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer in the world, so we want to make sure our risk is reduced as much as possible. Now, obviously, high cholesterol is dangerous, but when you pair it with high blood pressure, insulin resistance, or diabetes, obesity, and things of that nature, your risk of a cardiovascular event increases substantially. So we want to have these things under control. Now, obviously, the best way to have these things under control is by a healthy diet and good lifestyle choices, such as quality sleep and exercise. But if those things don't work, for example, in people with familial hypercholesteremia, which basically just means they have a genetic defect that causes high cholesterol, and diet and exercise and things of that nature don't lower it enough to be considered healthy, those people may have to turn to supplements and medications to decrease their risk further. Now, I want to quickly go over how cholesterol works in the body. So we're going to look at this graph right here. Now, in this figure, we see HMG-CoA reductase, which is an enzyme that converts a compound called HMG-CoA to mevalonate. Now, mevalonate is an essential building block for a lot of other molecules, and one of them being cholesterol. Monocolin K, which is the natural form of lovastatin that I mentioned earlier, binds to HMG-CoA reductase and prevents the production of cholesterol. Now, mevalonate can also be converted into other compounds such as coenzyme Q10, which is an antioxidant found in the mitochondria. Statins are known for reducing coenzyme Q10, and that's because they block the production of mevalonate, which blocks the production of coenzyme Q10. Now, I want to look at this large study on red yeast rice that had 8,000 participants that were supplementing with red yeast rice, and these participants decreased their LDL and total cholesterol with no damage to liver or kidney function. Now, from this meta-analysis, 2 of the studies showed pretty good reduction in LDL, 22 and 29% from those 2 studies. However, in general, red yeast rice only reduced cholesterol about 5 to 10% overall. Now, the dosing for red yeast rice that has a good effect on LDL reduction is 1.2 to 2.4 grams per day. Red yeast rice is usually sold as a 600 milligram supplement, so taking 1 capsule twice a day or 2 capsules twice a day has been shown to have a 22 and 29% reduction in LDL. Now, that kind of puts it into the ballpark of a low intensity statin, which is having an LDL reduction of less than 30%. Moderate intensity statins are 30 to 50% reduction in LDL, and then a greater than 50% reduction in LDL is considered a high intensity statin. Now, the positive of these studies is that it showed a decrease in cholesterol and no adverse events, but the negative is that they only lasted 4 to 12 weeks, which is not enough time to show that there's any cardiovascular benefit other than the lowering the cholesterol. In terms of side effects, 4 to 12 weeks is not long enough to know long-term effects of red yeast rice. Statins do have some long-term effects that we know of, such as increasing liver enzymes, increasing hemoglobin A1C, which is your blood sugar markers, and having some muscle wasting or muscle damage properties. Since red yeast rice is basically considered a low-dose lovastatin of around 5 milligrams, I wouldn't say those long-term effects of the statins generally applies here, because we see those effects of increased liver enzymes, increased blood sugar, and all those stuff with higher doses of statins, mostly Crestor and Lipitor. So I wouldn't go as far as saying red yeast rice will cause increased liver enzymes and increased blood sugar, because the dose is pretty low when it comes to statins, but it's possible. Now, this other study here concluded that despite the growing interest in dietary supplements, red yeast rice is not recommended for patients with hypercholesteremia, a lack of uniformity among products, the possibility of contamination, and the risk of severe adverse reactions pose a threat to individuals using this product. Overall, red yeast rice has not been shown to be a safe alternative to statins for patients with hyperlipidemia, despite its demonstrated efficacy in controlled clinical trials. So red yeast rice versus statins. Which one should you take? Which one should I take? What would happen? Now, I'm going to talk about what I would do if I had high cholesterol. So red yeast rice is basically the same as 5 milligrams of lovastatin. Now, knowing that, it kind of puts a light bulb in my head to say, why would I take red yeast rice when I can just take the FDA-approved lovastatin? If it's the same thing, has the same natural form, and everything is similar, why am I not just taking lovastatin? They get converted to lovastatin. What is the difference of what I'm doing? Like that previous article said, there's high risk of contamination and really not knowing what you're getting when it comes to dietary supplements, because they're not FDA regulated whereas pharmaceutical drugs are. So if I were to take an FDA-approved drug such as lovastatin, even at the lowest dose, I know what I'm getting with that batch. With red yeast rice, I might get a good results one time, but then when I buy my next batch, I don't get the same results because again, it's not FDA regulated, so who knows what the manufacturers are doing. Even if I do buy from a good company, things can slip through the cracks. If I had high LDL and high ApoB, then I wouldn't be messing around. I want to go to a statin. I want something that's been proven to reduce LDL, proven to reduce ApoB and high cholesterol, and reduce cardiovascular events while being FDA approved and regulated. But if I was someone that had borderline high cholesterol, or I had a family history of high cholesterol but didn't have high cholesterol myself currently, then at that point, maybe I would look into red yeast rice as more of a preventative measure, not for actually treating my high cholesterol. But if I had high cholesterol and I couldn't fix it with lifestyle choices such as healthy diet and exercise, then I'm turning to a statin. I'm not going to red yeast rice to treat my hyperlipidemia. Now, lots of people have reservations about taking statins because of its ability to increase liver enzymes, increase blood sugar, and cause diabetes, and increase muscle wasting or muscle damage. Now, in terms of the blood sugar and diabetes, I have a video on statins and their risk of increasing diabetes, so please check out that video if it interests you. But please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you all next time.